Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 106. Now, today we are back together. We have the three podcast hosts all in the same room, not literally, but all on Zoom and connected for the first time since episode 101 with Simon Marion. So it's really nice that we've all been away. It's that sort of time of year where we've all had separate holidays and the podcast has continued. But as you've been listening to, as I hope you've been listening to, some weeks it was just Peter and Paul, and last week it was me and Paul with Lauren, and but now this time we are all back together. So we're going to use this opportunity to kind of discuss the last 3 or 4 weeks, what we learned while being away, what habits we continued while we were away, any changes we made while we were away, any decisions we made, any lifestyle practices that we tried or things we did differently, and the fact that we're all now back to normal life, as it were. We're just moving into sort of September, and life's going to go back to normal. All the holidays are done, and what we're going to do moving forwards. We do have guests lined up for the next, I think we've already got guests lined up for the next 4 episodes at the moment. So we thought we'd take this opportunity just to reconnect and catch up before moving into the next series of podcasts where we have some fantastic guests lined up. So Mr. Peter Lant, how are you doing?
I am actually doing outstandingly well. And I don't say that lightly, honestly. 2 weeks off and then getting back to it on Monday. And then I've had some great conversations this week. Yesterday, I recorded an episode as a guest on Simon Marion's podcast. He asked me to come on. He's also going to ask you two guys, I think, as well. And we were talking for like 2.5 hours. Not the whole episode. Like, the episode wasn't that long, but we had a chat for half an hour beforehand and a chat for a while afterwards. And it was just great. So that's one of the things I was talking about with him of just a great thing that social media can be used for is connections to actual people you want to speak to. So, and I've had a conversation with a listener this week who got in touch with me about some online training, and he's going to sign up. So I've sent him a few messages, and we actually had a video chat, and he was a great guy called Lee. Shout out for Lee. So yeah, honestly, it's been just one of those weeks. It feels like I'm like something's shining on me or something. Like everything's going right this week. So
and
yeah,
a couple of things. I've noticed you're wearing, little shout out to Finbar Toulan. You're wearing a Virtue
friend of the show. Yeah, I'm wearing a Virtue
t-shirt. Friend of the show, Finbar Toulan. Yeah,
there you go.
Virtue t-shirt. And I also understand that you had a visit from one of the original Health Oddity super fans today in Bath.
I did, yeah. Right? Your brother. God, hang on. I'll show you the photograph.
I saw a picture sent of my brother wearing his Health Oddity t-shirt, meeting up with Pete in Bath on the way to Wales, I think.
He's on his way to Abergavenny. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. Honestly, it's great. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Dear me. Excellent. So that's great. So we can talk about, I know I saw a lot of your training stuff while you're away, and we can kind of talk about that and the way you manage things, and then the way you've sort of slipped back into routine since coming back, which is great. Mr. Paul Bassett, how are you doing? You've been away as well?
Yeah, I've got my Health Oddity t-shirt on.
Have you got on inside out and backwards?
That's a visual a visual gag. You don't get that if you listen.
It's a visual gag. I always think radio is perfect for that kind of visual gag. It's the team's back, isn't it? It's like the reunion that no one asked for, really, isn't it? It's like, take that. Suddenly realised they're pretty good when they came back, weren't they?
I like the way James had to clarify that we all went on holiday separately, as if like
on the buses.
Like, you all do everything together.
Well, isn't it when a series jumps the shark, and they usually do like they go to Spain together and they do an episode over there or something? It's like we're starting to lose a few ideas. Let's do an episode overseas. I think that's something we could do.
We could do one. We could do one via like Google Chat or something like that instead of on Zoom.
No, you've lost him. You've lost him.
No. I mean,
fair enough.
I didn't want to break it. Yeah, bad idea. Yeah, silence said everything, really, didn't it?
Yeah. One thing I've listened to the podcast back, the recent ones. Obviously, listened to the one last week.
With the highest, the one with me and Peter, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get all my numbers mixed up now.
Yeah, with the highest listening numbers that we've ever recorded.
I listened to the one that you both did recently. I listened to the one that just Pete and I did. I think I listened to Simon Marion. So, and one thing I did notice is very, very annoying is that I say, all the time. So I'm going to pull myself up on that today.
My granddad used to say that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about it if I was you.
No, but I'm just going to consciously. It's a thing that you say to fill time when you're thinking. To say,
I reckon you should get the acronym hammer and hit yourself over the head with it every time you say it.
Like mallet's mallet, word association. You mustn't pause, you mustn't hesitate, you mustn't repeat. Yeah.
Look at each other and go
with great relish.
Do me. So, to begin with, then, how have we just give us? I suppose quite a good place to start would be like I've had lots of really interesting conversations in the last week at the studio with members, and I've recorded a couple of short videos about some of those conversations and put them into the kind of Facebook group that we have, and had conversations around things that probably came on the back of thinking that I did while I was away, actually on holiday. Because I think when you're away, you really have time to process, don't you, and to think and reflect on things. So yeah, just maybe Pete, if you can sort of tell, if we start with Pete or start with Paul, whichever one, kind of where you were when you went away, what you did, how your kind of day panned out, and how you kind of kept up your healthy lifestyle. To what extent you did, to what extent did you just let go and relax, or to give people an idea of that.
Well, for me, I mean, I was in Snowdonia for a week, and then the lakes for a week, the Lake District. So I was walking up and down mountains most days, which was brilliant. So I managed to keep up my training program because I sent Paul a message 2 weeks before I went away. I actually put a video out about this as well. It wasn't like all of a sudden, oh, I'm on holiday, I forgot about that. I knew when I was going. I've known for months when I was going and where I was going, and the fact that it was in the UK. So I mean, we were going in the car. So I sent Paul a message, said, here's what's happening. I'm going to take a 32 bell with us and a 36. Turns out I didn't need the 36. I was just driving around with one in the boot of the car. So I was going to try and charge him for petrol.
On the old diesel.
Yeah, I was going to try and charge him for petrol, but he didn't answer that message. But anyway, so I told him that, took the bells with us. So I managed to keep my program up, which was great. And yeah, so the only, like, I'd say the things that are different when we're on holidays, obviously I'm not working. I was still, what's it called? Updating people's programs for online, like on the Sunday. So I had to do that twice. But, we were basically just getting up, having a leisurely breakfast and all that, and then going and walking up a mountain, or walking along a beach or whatever with the dog. And then coming back down again, wandering around a bit, and then going for a couple of beers and a bit of food, or making some food in the cottage where we were staying.
That's like last summer wine.
Yeah. But this is the thing. We weren't anywhere like that was, a big party atmosphere or anything like that. We'd gone to do things like that because that's what we enjoy doing, and being outdoors and stuff.
I think you said, I saw you post a lovely picture, and you kind of said, I've just walked to the local pub and I'm just sitting having a pint, and there was sort of like a pub bench, and you just had mountain behind you and grass, and you were just, and it was just at the end, short walk where you were.
That was in Festiniog, and the mountain. So the pub was at the end of the road, and that mountain behind it's got a dam on it, which is the local hydro. It's a hydro plant, So obviously they've got the dam, and then when they need electricity, they just like let the water out and it pumps through. But having worked in the energy industry, I know that that's very expensive, because then they've got to pump all the water back up again. So it's kind of a last resort when they need energy like instantly, like that sort of thing. So anyway, yeah, it was just really nice. But the thing was, it was really hot the first week, and we've got a black spaniel. So being at the top of a mountain at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the blazing sunshine when it's 30 degrees and there's no shade isn't what you want. So, and it was Sean's suggestion that we did Snowdon, because she's never done Snowdon before. And we got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, which, you don't do on holiday, do you? You don't do that on holiday, but it's like, well, we want to go up this mountain, and we can't do it because the weather's going to be really warm all week, unless we do it early in the morning. So we got up. We actually we'd got a takeaway pizza 2 nights before and a garlic bread, and there was like a whole, like an amalgamation there was an amalgamation of the three, but there was like a whole pizza left. So we had that for breakfast, right? Because we didn't want to cook anything or whatever, and we just wanted to get going. So as a fitness professional, and I'm saying it now, and I'm coming out, we had pizza for breakfast. However, we knew we were walking up and down a mountain that morning, so we wanted to be as quick as possible. But yeah, we got to the top at 9 o'clock, and it was very nice. It wasn't so busy. And
there wasn't many people up there, up the top at 9 a.m. I wouldn't imagine.
There was a decent amount, but not as many as there would have been later on. And then we got back in the car. We were done by 11:30. Then we drove to the beach and took Sid for a walk along the beach, and he went splashing in the sea and all that sort of stuff. So it was just really nice. But so the thing is, I managed to keep my training program up, because I was getting up the days I was doing that. It's only 3 days a week. I was getting out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. Sean was still in bed, and I'd just go off and start doing my thing. She'd get up, and then, we were just having a leisurely morning, because like walking up and down a mountain takes 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4, depending on which one you're doing and how far you're going. So you think people you need to get up early and go and do that when it's hot and you've got a dog. Yes. But when we were in the lakes, it was like 16 degrees. So actually we could start at midday, be done by 4 in the afternoon. It was great. So we managed to have such a leisurely time while fitting everything in that needed to be fitted in, and having it, like, had a few beers, drank every day, not loads, not to excess, a couple of beers a night in a local pub somewhere, and then would either cook or would eat in the pub or whatever. And it was just, we got takeaway curry one night. It was brilliant. It's just, I don't know. It was very relaxing, because there was no kind of restriction. And I said before we started recording, I was basically out, and it wasn't a bad diet. I was eating 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner. But eating dinner in a pub, you might have burger and chips, which again isn't that bad. It was like a homemade burger. It was proper locally sourced meat and all that sort of stuff. But it was kind of almost out training a bad diet, because we were having such an active time. So it was brilliant.
Well, it sounds lovely that you're walking that much every single day, and you're still doing your 3 strength sessions a week, aren't you? And
that was hard.
Yeah. And you've
especially doing 100 pistol squats in the morning, and then going, right, should we go and walk up a mountain? It was all right.
Did you do any reading out there? Did you do any thinking? Did you listen to any podcasts?
No.
Just apart from that, you were just kind of just relaxed, enjoying each other's company and just chilled out?
I took Simon's book with me, The Immediate Care Process, Simon Marion, and it's not a holiday reading book, is it? So no. I didn't know what it was going to be, but it's a book you do, isn't it? And you study. So I kind of flicked through it and then went, right, this isn't holiday reading. So
what is holiday reading for you?
Well, just easy stuff, isn't it? I don't know. I don't necessarily read on holiday because I'm too busy doing stuff, or just some heavy relaxing.
Heavy relaxing.
Yeah. So I mean, thoughts wise and everything. I've just joined. I was saying as well. I've just joined this new coaching program. So thoughts wise was basically what I've got to join that when I get home and pay. Like, you've got to pay for it and all of that sort of stuff, obviously. So having all that in place. And then as soon as I got back, I paid, joined, and now I'm going through the stuff. So it was like, going through the learning process of this, because there's all these modules to learn from and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, so it was just kind of enjoying my time, because from now forwards for the foreseeable, I'm going to be not super busy, but I'm going to be doing stuff. But what's really good about it is there's lots of videos with this thing, and there's stuff to learn and all of that. So actually, when I'd usually be like, well, what am I going to do with my time at the minute, and try and fill it in with something, it's like, if ever I've got any spare time, instead of watching something on YouTube or watching like a half-hour episode or something, I'll watch one of these videos and actually learn something. Because I try to do that anyway, but you don't always find stuff that you can actually properly learn from. But this is going to take me weeks. So yeah, it was a nice little break before not hitting it hard, but before like actually getting some proper work done.
So do you feel that now you're back? Are you kind of freshly rested and invigorated, and now you're refocused to kind of maybe put in a good 3-4 months or whatever it is up until Christmas, and get back into work, get back into train? You know, I know you were still training then, but you know, kind of.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I've had some great conversations this week with various people, and I think that's because I've had a lot of energy this week, because I've had some time off, because I wouldn't have necessarily had those conversations like, you know, in December, in the middle of December when I'm tired or whatever. But like, this is why I'm trying to work on that, so I've got that energy all the time, or as much as possible. But it's just been great. And what it has shown, and it goes with doing these podcast episodes and that as well, you've just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and being genuine and living what you say and all of that, and proving that. And then people see it. You don't know that they're seeing it. We don't know, you know, we know roughly how many people are listening to this, but there might be more. But it doesn't matter, because we're going to keep doing it anyway. So being consistent, a little wins every day gets you to where you want to be. But you've got to have some time off at some point as well.
Yeah.
Because 2 weeks off has just rejuvenated me.
Excellent. And Paul, you were away last week, I think, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in Scotland.
Scotland, okay.
Outside Dumfries, which is a nice kind of temperature trap, actually, because usually it can be quite a little bit windy, blustery, or a little barren near the Highlands. So we're just down near Dumfries, which is it was just really nice. We just hired a cottage. Oh, well, my wife hired a cottage right on the beach.
Have you got any family connections up in Scotland?
She does. She has some farm, some cousins own a farm up there. So we weren't far from that. But yeah, we just had a cottage right on the beach. So literally just walk out the door straight into a beach, which is good, you know. But you know, with all the strikes and stuff like that, I couldn't get up there on the trains without spending insane. I'm not going to go into how much money I would have spent to get to Carlisle and then up to Dumfries. Insane. So needless to say, I drove, and it took me 10 hours. So that was a long drive. I suddenly realized while I was driving how the body deals with being sedentary. It just has to adapt, because you just have to turn into a chair.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get any back pain, because my back isn't really a problem, but I neck was going forwards, you know, and you know, even if I sit back a little bit because I'm quite tall, you know, it's just there's no way of doing it, and then you're realizing your foot's going out to one side, and then you know you get the external rotation of the hip and all that. So I literally took as many, because I didn't have anyone else in the car with me, because they went up earlier. They managed to get train tickets, and I had the Amazing 12. Doing a photo shoot, and so I came up after them. I just drove up and did as many stops as I could. I think that's the only way to do it. I think I agree that some people can power through it, but honestly, I just didn't. You know, whether it took me an extra 2 hours or not. I mean, I probably could have got up there in 7 hours if I'd not taking a break. But I'm not that. I just go up there, go for walks, plenty of drinking, water, and I'm the weirdo in the car park doing a squat. You know. It's the only way to do it, you know, just get in there, squat, sit down, just kind of roll your shoulders and stuff like that, just to deal with it.
You find you're sitting in the squat in the car park and people go to the toilets in there, mate.
I know. I should have pulled my trousers up, really. Yeah, there's actually a really good service station on the way up to past Carlisle, called what's it, T-Bay, and it has amazing like farmer food. It's basically a farmer's market in a service station, and brilliant. It's brilliant. I mean, like, you go in there, right? Pies, meat, fresh, all the meats like locally sourced, like, and you're going in there just going, wow, I'm going to have that. It's got like artisan chocolates. It's brilliant. It's like, that's what every service station should be. It's basically like a better version of Whole Foods, like proper farmer's market, like everything fresh. I mean, I'm like, why the hell aren't every single service station like this? And there's loads of people there spending a ton of money. So it's probably just a bit more work than sticking on some Ginster's pasties, isn't it? I was thinking when I was in tour management that I would get a tour sponsored by Ginster's, because that was the main food that we had while we were traveling around the UK. But anyway, yeah. So I got up there and just kind of relaxed, really. I say relaxed. I kind of just like hit the mattress and went, ugh. And then there was like the first 3 days.
Is that how you relax?
Yeah, basically, I lost the functions of thought, speech, and actually, I started fairly kind of well, and then I think my body said, "Okay, you don't have to do anything, Paul." My team had handled everything. You're like James when you were mentioning that when you went away, actually, everything ran smoothly and everyone was solving problems really well. So I had Marta, who's part of my team, she just basically took over everything. Calendar wasn't too busy. We'd finished the wave of the A12, so it was a good time to have gone, because things were in the right place. So I just wasn't used to the fact that I wasn't on my laptop. I didn't really have access to phones, and come the Wednesday, I was just like absolutely shattered, and I actually got sunburn on the Wednesday, falling asleep on the beach while my kids played it there. I mean, my wife was watching the kids in the water, so they weren't drowning or anything. But I fell asleep there, and I was like for a while I was about like a grey bag of flesh.
How did it feel? Because obviously James has done the thing of going away with no phone and all that sort of stuff. When I was in the lakes where we were staying, didn't have any Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I had to walk up a hill at the back to go and update programs on the Sunday, because there was like literally nothing.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Because you don't usually do that, do you? So
I mean, there was some Wi-Fi. It's just that because I told all my clients, and my clients were really respectful as well, they just didn't contact me. There was one or two who were away when I was doing all the announcement, or hadn't read the Facebook posts. But really, there was this kind of sense. Marta just told everyone not to contact me, so that was helpful. And I'd done as much beforehand that I could, and I didn't have any sales calls or anything like that. So it was weird, though. It was weird. I mean, I just didn't know quite how to handle the time. I got better at by the end of the week. It's weird being in that circumstance. I don't think I was quite like you, James, being completely without any Wi-Fi or any kind of contact, but it was close. It was close-ish. I mean, I remember doing it. I was in where was I? I was near Scarborough once. No, Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe? Yeah, something like that. And I was in a recording studio. It's a pretty cool studio, actually. It's where the Arctic Monkeys did their first record. So we were there. And anyway, the only place I could get reception was walking through the village into the phone box, which didn't work. That had a fly's nest in it, like full of flies, and you would be able to make phone calls in the phone box, because it was the only place to seem to get reception. Step outside the phone box, couldn't get reception. So I don't know what that was about, but it was a bit like that. There was certain areas that you could walk into where you had some kind of connection.
You've just reminded me of something. This is totally disjointed, but have you ever heard of the Scunthorpe effect on email?
No.
Well, if you look at the letters so you know how some people's email, like in work or whatever, it'll say you're not allowed certain words, and it'll look at strings of words and all that sort of stuff. Think about Scunthorpe. What's in Scunthorpe?
Yeah.
Right. So basically, anyone who had an email address with like at Scunthorpe.whatever, business wise or anything like that, lots of like businesses were struggling with it because they wouldn't get delivered anywhere. Anyway, James.
Anyway, what I was going to say. So, Paul, did you? I know you're incredibly busy when you're in your normal kind of work mode and you're at home. So you said the first few days being away, you found it quite hard to actually not
to adjust to civilian life.
Working, not to be working. I mean, did you do any kind of training while you're up there, or did you totally just chill out and relax and
I tried to do some training, and I actually, because we've had David Cohen on the podcast, I'm always giving a shout out to David because he is a bit of a monster and he's a great guy as well. So he does all his stone lifting. Obviously, being on the beach, I was like, right, I'm going to give that a go. Bloody heavy, those stones, but they're good. Actually, one of the best things to do after being in a car for 10 hours is the next day go and pick up a heavy stone. My back felt great with it. So it was really good. Actually, my biceps are really noticed because I'm not particularly strong there. But so I did some activity. I started really well. My wife at the moment is doing a diet, and I said, okay, I'll do it with you. So it's low carbohydrate, and I did really instantly notice that having not had any carbohydrates in my body, and it was a good opportunity to do some. So we're talking about did you? I know with you, Peter, you're like, okay, I'm going to do a ton of activity and then and I'm going to outwalk a bad diet. I kind of did the opposite. I went in with the intentions of just kind of being chilled out with my food and doing a ton of exercise, but I ended up doing very little exercise other than the stuff I was doing with the kids, and I took the kids out on lots of active things, but it's only so far you can walk with a 6-year-old or a 3-year-old or whatever. So so I ended up eating really well, and because there's loads of good quality food in the area, me and my wife just bought loads of nice food, mainly with carbohydrates, just eating a few berries here and there. But the effect is, having done quite a lot of carb eating through kettlebell sport, which is just very glycolytic, I just got a bit of a kind of like, I lost a lot of kick and I just felt fairly physically unmotivated. But I think some of that was down to just that release of tension, which I definitely needed. And I think having come back, I realized how up against the ceiling of my recovery capacity I was hitting, and definitely was good to have a bit of a reset, both in terms of diet and time to just relax, sleeping in a bit later, not having to travel and jump on a bike, get down to work, come back, blah 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 blah, sales calls all day, things like that. That was good not to do. And also just sit down and play with the kids. That was fun.
It's one of those things with the physical distance from where your life is, isn't it? And it makes, which is holiday, isn't it? So it makes a difference. Because I know you said you didn't go away.
There's a separation there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose I could do all these things at home, couldn't I? I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't just.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know because the stuff you could be doing otherwise, isn't it?
Walking in, is it?
Yeah, but the stuff you could be doing otherwise, isn't it? That's the thing. So you're like, well, no, because I can't do that because I could do that, but I've also got this to do. So I might as well do some work instead. Whereas when you're away, that doesn't happen, which is perfect.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say, really. Is there anything any of the things that you did or while you're away that you came back and thought, oh, I'm going to try and keep doing this, or I'm going to do more of this at home, or even, well, that was a really lovely week, I'm going to make sure that I have a week off more regularly, or anything.
I think that's it. Yeah, definitely the latter. I think definitely just try and do short breaks, book them in. I mean, the one thing I'm not very good at, and it's historically what I'm not very good at, is unless someone contacts me to go out, I am probably not doing it. Not because I don't want to, quite a sociable person. It's just that I spend my life organizing other people, and then unless it's been organized for me, in the past, before I was a personal trainer, my social life and my hobby and my work were the same thing as music, and so you would always be down a pub hanging out with your mates because that's where the gigs were and that's where you were on tour or whatever. Whereas now it's like I do my training, come back with the kids, and then depending on the babysitter, unless we've organized something, we're not going out. So I think I'm going to take longer weekends, book off like a Friday, spend the weekend, come back on Sunday, just have some more time, do that. And certainly I've kept up eating well. Last 2 weeks, I think I'm carrying a lot of inflammation, a lot of stress, weight, stuff like that. I felt that because I was working so hard, my usual kind of focus around food was disappearing. So yeah, I've lost almost, probably about 3.8 kilos, something like that. So it's, you know, I definitely noticed that. I felt a bit weaker when I came back. Definitely felt this week has been a bit of a write-off with training. I did go with all the best intentions last week of doing loads of running and stuff like that. I just didn't. But this week, like Monday, Tuesday was a bit of a write-off. But yesterday I had a pretty intense session. I felt pretty good. So,
so do you think
so I've decided. What's that?
I was going to say, so do you think you're adapting to having changed your food slightly now?
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, I was planning on coming back. So my plan before I went, I was speaking to coach Paul McRoy as a coach. I was saying, okay, so the UK long cycle standard is for a veteran was, I think it was something like 85 reps in 10 minutes with 220s. And I was going to go and put it on Facebook with my group. I was going to have a bit of pressure, so I was going to put it on Facebook live in my Transformation Club Facebook group and do 10 minutes of that and try and break that. I don't know if I could. I felt like I could before. When I came back, I was like, I was pressing 16 kilo weight and I was going, oh, this is bloody hard. I think that's all dietary, but I think maybe I'll come back at it next week. But I've actually entered the Giveroy Sports Union October 29th kettlebell sport thingy. Yeah, that's how much I know about that.
Where is that? Is that a live competition? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be in Leeds.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never really felt like doing a Zoom one. I just can't be asked for that.
Yeah, no, because I mean, Lauren's got the next one in. I think it's 2 weeks from now. 1, 2, 3 weekends from now. Yeah, in Northampton. Yeah, and I know Finbar's going to be there, and Ben Morris is going to be there as well.
I know. I looked at because you were saying on the last podcast you're going to go up and have a look, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's like 3 hours away from me, so I was going to come along, but then I was like, oh,
yeah, Northampton's about 2.5 hours from here, I think.
Is it okay?
Yeah, but I'll have to have a look and see.
Depending on what time she's on, I might do actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll do biathlon or long cycle yet.
Yeah,
I tick both boxes, but I'm sure I'll be able to choose one.
Hedge your bets and decide at the time.
Yeah. So I mean, to be fair, I'd done a little bit more long cycle, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, yeah. So I actually feel pretty awake at the moment. I think good example of eating well is that my brain feels pretty switched on at the moment. I think I was getting to the end of the fuse, I think. So it was good. It was good to have. I think if my wife hadn't booked it, I probably would work through because that's my nature. But they're still, actually, to be fair, my wife and my kids are still in Scotland. They're doing an extra week, just seeing some family. So I've actually got a kind of secondary holiday, which is that with no children, which at the moment, which is pretty amazing, actually. Just, it's not that I'm not changing I'm getting up later or whatever. It's just that, or going to bed any later. It's just that I don't have to think about the school run. I don't have to think about entertaining kids. I don't have to think about cooking dinners for everyone. So it's you've got peace and quiet. You've got time to think. You've got space. You can go to bed when you want to go to bed and sleep well. And
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you wearing trousers?
I am wearing trousers at the moment. But yeah.
No, just because
No, I did wander around in my underwear yesterday most of the day.
He pulls up my body and everything, and he's sitting around with no wife and kids there. He's just like, I'll whack a t-shirt on, it'll be all right.
Yeah, as I stand up, walking into the
hey, whoa. I'll take the show.
So are you going to stick with this eating for a little while, do you think? Is that the plan?
Yeah. Well, my wife's focused on it, so I said I'll do it with her. So I think sports like kettlebell sport or anything is kind of very intense strength. Most strength sports are quite carb heavy. Explosive sports or endurance sports, you can drive through a ton of glycogen in a 10-minute set. And so I feel like I'm still a little bit adapted to carb burning. So there's going to be a transition, I think, which will be uncomfortable, and I'll probably have to accept that I'm not going to be firing all cylinders until I get used to it. But I think it's probably a good thing. I'm quite enjoying it. I've got an air fryer.
Ainsley was talking about the air fryers, wasn't he, when he was on?
They're great. You can sausages can be a pain in the ass to cook sometimes, and you take about half an hour to get them right. Air fryer doing like 16 minutes, no fat or anything. It's brilliant. Yeah, I haven't tried a steak in there yet. But,
yeah. Does it dry things out? Sorry, we're getting a bit boring now. But does it dry things out?
I think it dries them out if you overcook them, but it doesn't dry things out if you're undercooked. So you just got to get your timing right.
Yeah. Okay.
We're starting to sound like the royal family now, aren't we? What have you had your tea? Yeah, corned beef hash.
Do me.
So, James, what are you having for dinner this evening?
I don't know.
Meat and two meat.
Yeah, we need to know about this.
I'm working this evening again, so it was. I've got the big change, I suppose, for me in the last couple of weeks is I had the guys from Ice Tub UK back round because my ice tub that I've been having wasn't getting cold enough. It wasn't the cooler wasn't working properly, and I sort of suspected that it wasn't as cold as it was meant to be. So I bought one of these floating thermometer things, and it wasn't. It was saying it was you set it to a temperature, but the actual temperature of the water wasn't. So they were really, really good. They came around and got a brand new chiller, brand new filter, and now I am properly freezing.
Well, my wife does cold baths, so every morning she just gets in the cold bath.
Yeah, but there's cold bath, and then there's I've got it to 4 degrees at the moment, and it does go as low as 2, but it is a genuine 4 degrees on the thermometer as well. And I went in there last night. I made the mistake of going in there kind of before I wanted to go to bed, really, and I had 5 minutes in there at kind of 4 degrees, and it was lovely because it was pitch black and I could see the stars above me, and I was just sitting out there and I got my breathing right and everything. And it just took me hours to warm up afterwards. I got out and it kind of took me so long to get to sleep afterwards. So I've kind of learned that I won't do that just before bed again, because I literally was laying in bed under a duvet and I think I must have just been chilled to the bone,
Especially when you're tired, your body starts to get cold anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah. But no, but that's really good. So that's a big change. Something I've implemented recently that I'm doing daily, which is really good. And yeah, just the break I had, the 2 weeks, like we've said, was fantastic. No tech, no phone, no emails, no social media, and it's definitely the way that I want to conduct all my holidays going forward. And I just had so much time to think, and doing a lot of thinking recently, a lot of growing, a lot of developing, a lot of just thinking.
Well, it isn't holidays. It's not about running away, is it? It's about actually finding space. Because for me, I've never been creative when I'm stressed, when I'm angry, when I'm emotional, all those things. I'm never on my best. So some people can be inspired when they're depressed. They write great music. A lot of musicians, it's a way to express their frustration. They'll write. For me, I like to be happy when I'm doing things. I like to be, but often it's all that encroachment of tasks that can become suffocating, isn't it? And then when you go on holiday, it's not about, okay, I'm going to do bad stuff because I can. It's going to be about, actually, like you say, James, I've done a lot of thinking. I've had a bit of space to evaluate, and actually that space kind of gives you some time to say, actually, I don't need to focus on that, or what I thought was a priority wasn't. I think that's
one thing that Pete sort of said earlier, which is, and it's true, and you just saying that actually made me think as well, is it's a shame that we need to go on holiday to have that time in that space where I find it hard to probably carve out that time and that space in day-to-day life, which is kind of one of the things I suppose that we should try and bring back from the experience of holidays. Actually,
this is what I was going to say when Paul was saying that. I was saying you don't need to go away. You can do it. I mean, obviously, it's harder when you've got kids and everything and the busy life and all of that. But it doesn't matter how long it is as well. It can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever, just something for you and to bring your mind down. So mine's taking the dog for a walk. I was speaking to Simon about this yesterday. Mine's taking the dog for a walk. So instead of meditation or anything like that, I take the dog for a walk and I can just watch him run around. He hasn't got a care in the world. My brain switches off. Well, my brain doesn't switch off, but my my sense of having to do stuff switches off. And then that's when your creative brain comes out, doesn't it? And it's allowed to open up and think and do things and all of that. So, and we've spoke about this on a previous podcast, having little holidays throughout, like in the day. I think Dr. Chatterjee spoke about
well,
it.
I think hobbies can be like that, can't I? I mean, that's why part of it's like the training. It's like, well, who was it? Was it on our podcast? Was I listening to it on someone else's podcast? I all blends into one anyway. But it was about men going to tea rooms. No, like coffee mornings to try and deal with lonely men and lonely individuals. So no men turned up to coffee mornings. But then when they had a shed morning where there was like they could do some woodwork and stuff like that, it was packed out because they had this kind of like they had this space where they could do something that they could. It was sometimes by doing something you've got space as well. It's not that you have to just sit there going, I am thinking now and I'm being creative. Actually, the act of doing something you enjoy that takes your mind off things can allow that second part of the brain, whatever it is, to just mull over things.
I suppose it's like, Pete, some people use cooking or gardening or an allotment or, decorating, all these kind of things, isn't it? Tidying up, it can be quite, cathartic, can't it? It's giving you just that time and space.
Exactly. So when people think they haven't got, you need to go away, which is always going to be better anyway. I'm saying that, I don't know that for sure, but like in my head, it's better to, like the distance creates less need to actually have to think about things and do stuff. But you can do, like I say, you can do that throughout the day. And you guys have I've said the way I do it, and you guys have just explained many, many different ways that people can do it. And I think that can be a problem when you get to a certain point in life, doesn't it? When you're in your mid-30s, 40s, towards your 50s, people start to wonder, like, what did I used to do for fun? What did I used to do for that sort of thing? Because you could do it a lot when you were younger, before you got married and had kids and all these responsibilities and work and all of that. But hobbies are, I know I didn't have any up until a few years ago. I was just run ragged.
Like we spoke about with Lauren last week when she was saying that the friends that the work friends and things, and they always used to go out to the pub sort of, 3-4 nights a week or whatever. And now that she doesn't do that, some of them think she's boring because she's now training and she's got another focus. And, it's what we said, I think, before we started recording, was that actually going to the pub 3 or 4 nights a week for 20 years is quite
but isn't it much more interesting dinner table conversation? Say, in my spare time I like to do a strength endurance kettlebell workouts I've trained for, that I'm like, it's kind of mental doing pentathlon really compared to what most people do. It's a much more kind of cool thing to talk about, than what did you do in the pub last night? It's I suppose people are just, sometimes people are quite removed from other people's passions that they can't quite understand why those would be interesting, Yeah,
I mean, I think so. Big thing that I've just sort of taken from this is we're not taking from it because it's stuff that we all know and we've talked about before, but it's trying to create space in your day-to-day life that allows you to be creative and mindful and thoughtful, and carving that out and finding a way to do that. And for Pete, it's going out for a walk, with the dog, which is great. But because it's so easy. I mean, I haven't listened to last week's podcast, 2 weeks ago podcast, the one you did about was it something to do with overwhelm in a digital
No, it's
overthinking. Yeah. So, but you can have so much stuff that you're certainly running a business and things like that, that's put, and having a family and everything else that's just pulling on you all the time, that you need that space, but you need a way to create it where it's not just 1 week a year or 2 weeks a year. It's something that can become a part of your daily routine. Yeah.
Because Paul said something about when you went away, you were like, you were ready. You were at the top and you were ready to go away, but you didn't realize it. So you would have just kept going. And that if you can take that to the point of burnout, right? Whereas if you can find something every single day just to take you that little bit away from that, actually it creates that space for you to be able to recognize that anyway. And then you don't, and then then the 2-week holiday becomes something that you don't have to, or the week holiday or whatever it is, I know when I was sitting behind a desk for 10 hours a day in the same desk for 12 years, holiday, the first week was a nightmare. I'd just be knackered. And then the second week, I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? The second week, for a few days, I'd feel relaxed, and then I'd start thinking about going back to work again. So it was actually only 3 days off, really. Whereas this time,
I totally understand. No, I totally understand. Yeah.
This time, I did a session in the morning, 7 till 8, with the guys. I came home. I think I did my presses. I had presses and pistols to do. I did my presses. We had breakfast, got stuff together, and then got in the car and drove off. And I was like, right, we're on holiday. And it was great. And I was like, I was ready already, like that afternoon on the day we went. Whereas years ago, that would have been like, it would have taken me like 4 or 5 days after that until I started to wind down. And also what you said, Paul, having kids who are like 3 and 6, you can't walk very far. Sid's 3 and he walks miles.
I know. Yeah, I've really done a bad job preparing.
I mean, he's got 4 legs.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's 3-year-olds and 6-year-olds do spend a lot of time crawling, though, don't they? I mean, my 6-year-old has this thing where he's trying to run like a monkey on the floor, and it's just amazing how his body moves. He just leaps, hands forwards, his legs follow, and he's like a monkey. And he'll sprint down the corridor. I don't know how he does it. It's amazing, the flexibility. But I found a quote that I remembered. It says, "Look with the eyes of a tourist who sees beauty where everyone sees routine."
Yep.
Because we can often, both me and Pete have actually had holidays in the UK, but it's easy when you live somewhere or you do something or you're familiar with your own routine in your own life, is that it does become something that you just, become blind to almost. And then for example, we got plenty of people who come to the UK because it's a beautiful place. It's got so much culture and there's so much to do and see. And we live here all the time. We don't notice it. You can't see the wood for the trees kind of thing. And then we go to other countries for culture. But sometimes it's like, it's already here. It's just, you're not appreciating it. And it's the same with being in your own life. It's like, actually there's peace there. There's happiness there. There's creativity there, but you've just got to come at it from a different perspective. And sometimes the holiday does give you that time out so that you can come back and look at your own life with maybe fresher eyes. Well, it certainly has. I mean, it makes it sound like my 1 week off was pretty profound, but it was just a bit of space, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's a great sort of place to wrap up, and I think that's the fact that we've all had that time off, and it also kind of helps you, helps with gratitude. And when you come home, you're like I said, I came back and I was kind of raring to go again. Do you know what I mean? Because I felt having that separation is a good thing. And like Pete said, now you come back, and I know we've got, I think I'm assisting at the SFG one in October. I've got the SFL in November. We're hosting the SFB again next May. We're going to have the Tactical Strength Challenge. I've got to arrange, the skiing trip for February, so much going on. But it was nice just to step out of it for 2 weeks and totally disconnect, and then come back kind of with, I suppose, a certain degree of excitement again. And I do think you need that break and that separation. Physically is good as well as mentally, I think it's great. Well, we've all been talking for about an hour. So I don't know if there will be any final thoughts, or if we've kind of covered what we were going to say. Pete, anything from you?
Nope.
Lovely. Paul, anything from you?
I better take my trousers off again.
Okay, so like I say, guys, we have got I think the next 4 weeks, I think we've got guests lined up, so we will be back again next week. Thank you all for listening. This has been episode 106. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave a review if you can. If you want to join the Facebook group, go onto Facebook, search groups and find Health Oddity. Join the conversation. It's really nice to see comments. We do get things posted to us, obviously, on Instagram and on Facebook and things relating to the podcast. And a lot of the time there's sort of private messages and stuff that people post us. But it's great to hear from listeners and from people who are on this journey with us. So until next time, thank you very much. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett, and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.